Alright guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to model this part in SolidWorks. And so just wanted to reference the drawing in the beginning before we get into the part. I've printed out a copy here just to reference so that we don't have to swap back and forth to the PDF for reference. So to get us started, let's go to SolidWorks, and this is what we're trying to end up with. So how did I get to this? First thing we want to do is create a new part. And knowing that I want to start on the top plane because it gives us the most information about this part, I'm going to start with just a simple rectangle. Then we're going to add some dimensions. So on this guy, we'll make this 2 1/4. And then here, I'm going to make this 2 3/4. And that gives us the overall shape that we're looking for. Now the next thing we want to do is go in and add these holes. So I'm just going to sketch 4 circles just in about the spot that we need them to be. And what's cool here, I can just click and drag across all of these and it pops up my relationships. I'm going to tell them all to be equal. So what's cool with that is as I resize one of them, they all move at the same time. So now I know what that hole size needs to be. That hole is 0.234, and now it's resized. Now we just need to make sure they're positioned properly. Now this hole needs to be in line with this one, so what we can do is select the centers and tell them to be vertical. So now when I try to move it left and right, they move together. So all we need to do now is just position these. I'll say that this is 1/4 and that this is 1/4, and then the spacing from the center to the right side is also 1/4. So now these are locked down, and you'll notice that because the color of these are now black rather than blue, where in this side all the circles are blue. That means that they're not fully defined, so when I try to move them I can. These over here, they are all locked down with relationships and dimensions, so they don't move, and they're black representing fully defined. Now these two need to be in line with each other, so I'm going to add that vertical relationship. Now they move together, so all that's left now is to dimension the location. So in this case we need for that to be 0.437, and the same thing on this side. And lastly, we just need to position these from the left side of the part, and that needs to be 0.25. Right, so now we have all of our holes positioned. The next thing we need to do is go in and create the rest of the outside profile. For this, I'm just going to create a circle that shares a center, so that means they're concentric, and I'm going to make it tangent to this left side. Let's do the same thing here. Alright, now we need to create the arc that goes from this circle to this side. To do that, I'm going to use the 3-point arc tool. I'm just going to click somewhere on this circle and somewhere on this edge, and we'll just drop it like so. Now you'll notice that this isn't positioned just right because we need to add a relationship. To do that, I'm going to click the circle, hold Control, and click the arc, and it pops up my relationships here. I'm going to tell that to be, whoops, we don't want it to be concentric, we want it to be tangent. We'll do the same thing with these two edges. We'll make those tangent, and now we've got that way we need it to be. The last step is just to add our dimension, and in the drawing it says the radius is 5 inches, and now you'll notice that line is fully defined. Now we could go to the other side and repeat that same process, or we could use symmetry. In this case, I'm just going to draw a center line through that part, and we're going to use the Mirror Entities command. Here we just click the line we want to mirror, and then click what it's mirroring about, and you'll notice it puts another line down here. Alright, now my last step, I'm going to put some fillets on these corners. I want that fillet size to be 0.25. I'm going to drop one here and here. So when I click OK, we've got something we can work with. Now you'll notice that I have more than one contour, so I have a space here, here, here. In SolidWorks, when we want to extrude something, we can use a tool called Selected Contours. In this case, I'm going to extrude these contours, and that gives me the shape of the base of the part that I'm looking for. Now I just need to give it a thickness, and our drawing says that should be 0.312, and now we're good to go. So now the next step is to create the boss above the base feature. So I'm going to create a new sketch on this surface. We're going to look normal to that surface. Now before I get started, I want to outline this entire shape. To do that, I'm going to click that face and select Convert Entities, and you'll notice now I've got lines going all the way around the perimeter of the part. The next step, we're going to go in and draw some circles. I'm going to draw a circle here, 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 and here. Now you'll notice that these are all black, and that's because I made them tangent to the pre-existing corners here. These are 0.25, so by adding a relationship automatically between this circle and that arc, it's giving it a radius. And just for good measure, we can add a dimension here and tell it that we want this to be a driven dimension, and it gives us a reference to know what the diameter is for that circle. Now the last step is to just go in and create our lines. So here I'm just going to start at each quadrant of the circle, and we're going to go out to the edge. And I'm going to do that on each of these. And this will be our last one. Alright, so now this gives us our profile for the second boss. When I go to my Features tab and select Extruded Boss Base, I can select which region of that sketch I want to extrude, and then how far I want it to extrude. Now it didn't give me a dimension for how tall this is, but it gave me an overall height and what the height of the base is, so I can use a little bit of math in this dimension here. So I can type in 0.937 minus 0.312, and it calculates that for me so that I know the thickness of this boss is 0.625. Alright, so that gets us most of the way there. The last thing we need to do is to go in and apply some fillets to this. And when I look at this part, it tells us that we have two different sized fillets going around the outside. So I'm going to go to my fillet command, and it says, which items do you want to fillet? Well, the first one I'm going to do is the smaller set, and the radius on those is 0.12. And then I just go into the model and pick the edges that I want that to be applied to. So here I pick one, and you'll notice this little box pops up. I'm going to tell it that I want all of the outside edges, except I want to remove this one and this one because they need to be a little bigger. So now I'll click OK, and we'll go back to our fillet command, and this time I want those two that I removed to be 0.25. So then I just pick that edge and that edge and click OK. So now we've got all of our fillets on the outside of the second boss. The last step is to go in and apply the fillets to the top edge of this part. So to do that, I'll just click my fillet tool, and here we'll give it a size. This one needs to be 0.12 as well, and then just click one of these edges, and you'll see that it propagates all the way around the part. Okay, so now we've got our fillet going around the part. The last step is the little fillet on this edge here. And from the drawing, I can tell that that is 60 thousandths. So I'll go back to my fillet tool, type in my value, and then pick the edges I want. So I'll pick this edge, this edge, this edge, and lastly this one. Now one thing that's interesting to note, when you look at how this fillet wraps around the corner, you'll see that it kind of pulls up. We have some options over here in the properties under fillet options. We have an option to keep surface or to keep edge. When I do that, you'll notice that it maintains that straight edge to this point. There's the difference, and there we go. So I'm going to click OK to that, and it looks like we're done with this guy.